Halo Season 2 is finally here, and we just got the very first 2 episodes, and you might be surprised at what I'm about to tell you, especially after some major behind-the-scenes changes happened in the break between Seasons 1 and Season 2. Let's get into it. What's going on, you guys? James here with another real review, and today I'm getting into the very first 2 episodes of Halo Season 2, now streaming on Paramount Plus. A huge thank you to Paramount Plus for giving me the chance to watch this early for review. I admittedly got the first 4 episodes, but I can only talk about the first 2 because that's all that dropped today. After this week, though, you're getting a single episode every week all the way up until the end of the season. Now, there are only 8 episodes this season versus the 9 that were in Season 1, but that's not even the biggest change from Season 1. In Season 2, we have a brand new showrunner, David Wiener, and he replaces Kyle Killen, who was the showrunner for Season 1. We also have the legendary composer Bear McCreary, and in Season 1 we had Sean Callery. And because I'm a nerd about music and film and TV, yeah, seeing Bear McCreary's name there is amazing. I mean, God of War Ragnarok, you got Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. The dude just doesn't miss. So I have good things to say about the score, thankfully. And then the last big change in Season 2 is that this is apparently a soft reboot, and it definitely felt that way. Master Chief himself, Pablo Schreiber, said in an interview, and I quote, "There's no question the second season is far stronger than the first." So already my hype levels were getting a little bit higher. Again, I'm not a big fan of Season 1. I thought Season 1 was pretty boring, and I hate saying just boring, but it was. After the first 3 episodes, there was a steep decline in the season, and yeah, by the end I was totally checked out. It just was not a good season of television. However, as a big fan of the Halo franchise, I thought, okay, soft reboot, new showrunner, you're probably going to get closer to Fall of Reach, so Season 2's got to be good, right? Right? Now, before I get into all of my thoughts on episodes 1 and 2, if you haven't already, hit the big red button below and subscribe to the channel, y'all. Like this video and comment down below and let me know one thing. Do you want me to keep reviewing this all the way through? Because if you do, okay, I'll hop on here and we'll talk Halo. But if not, that's okay too, because I got some first impressions for you guys. I got some thoughts about the very beginning of Season 2, and it's not off to the best start. But hey, let me not start off on a negative note and instead begin with the positives. So with Episode 1, Sanctuary, and Episode 2, Sword, we start to get reintroduced to Master Chief, Silver Team, and the conflict surrounding the UNSC and the Covenant. And it's true, this is really a soft reboot. There are certain elements you're going to need knowledge of from Season 1 to fill in the blanks with Season 2, but for the most part, especially in the Season 2 premiere episode, they catch you up to speed rather quickly, and they do so via exposition, and sometimes they just sort of imply things, and yeah, you're just meant to assume the obvious. But when it comes to things like Spartans taking the pellets out of their head like we saw in Season 1, yeah, you're probably going to need a little bit more context with that, so maybe you can cherry pick some episodes in Season 1, but again, Season 1 felt like it was just a lot of filler and didn't work for me. In Season 2, at least to start, there's a consistent tone. I would say a more consistent tone than Season 1. I appreciated showrunner David Wiener coming in with a brand new vision for Halo, and I honestly like the gritty approach, and the fact that the colors are more muted and it feels like they're in a war is actually very welcoming. And if you're wondering, of course, Episode 1 begins with a bang. Just like in Season 1, the very first episode is where you saw most of the budget being poured into, with that incredible sequence between Master Chief, Silver Team, and the elites on Madrigal. But here in Season 2, we get introduced to Chief and Silver Team trying to evacuate these settlers on this planet that's going to be glassed by the Covenant. And it does, which is cool. But honestly, I thought, man, this could actually play out like a really cool mission in a Halo video game, but seeing it in live action, it worked for the most part. It was an incredibly strong open, and a lot of elements blended together well, and I started to actually have a lot more optimism for Season 2. And even outside of Episode 1, Bear McCreary's score is felt throughout, and it is very impressive to see how much of an upgrade happened from Season 1 to Season 2 in the music department. Heck, even in the intro title sequence, guys, we finally get the signature Halo sound. Of course, is it at the actual score from the Halo video games? No, but you still hear the chants, you know, like the monks chanting and stuff that you hear in the Halo franchise. It's a signature sound. You can look it up. I'm not going to sing because I might get claimed on this video. It's Paramount. But I will say, guys, this is incredible because finally it felt like an ode to Halo fans like myself. And I have to say, the CG is actually still very good, especially for the elites. There's a moment we see several elites on screen with energy swords, and even though it's in a very densely lit setting, I liked it. I honestly can't tell you the CG was the issue in Season 1. I mean, when you go to High Charity, it looks great. Mercy looks great. Nothing looks out of place. But I will say there are some instances where you can tell they're maybe on a soundstage or, you know, there's a green screen. But for the most part, I will say the CGI, the VFX, it's pretty aces, at least through 2 episodes. And in case you're wondering, yeah, it at least feels like after the first 2 hours of Season 2 that they're beginning to inch closer towards the fall of Reach. Now, if you're a non-video game fan, you might hear that and think, why is this dude so excited for the fall of Reach? Because it is a catalyst for what we eventually see in the Halo video games, and it's very, very important to the timeline of this Covenant war that's going on and raging across the galaxy. So, yeah, if and when it happens, you're probably going to be shocked, because I was too after I played Halo Reach. And when it comes to the acting department, for the most part, there aren't really any standouts yet, but Pablo Schreiber at least feels more comfortable in the role. I know it's weird to say that because Master Chief in the video games doesn't really have a personality. It's a very dry character, right? But in the series, they're giving him more time outside of the helmet to show us who John is, and I actually like the fact that they're still harping on elements of his character after Season 1 that carry into Season 2, like his PTSD, memories from his childhood, and the fact that he's now dealing with emotions, some of them for the very first time. And I do think that's portrayed well so far, and I like the fact that Silver Team is also the same way. They took their pellets out and they're feeling good. Well, for the most part. Riz is maybe not feeling too great, but everyone else seems to be dealing with it better because they can actually feel something again. But now, you guys, it's time for the negatives, because I really gotta start getting into why I don't think episodes 1 and 2 are a very strong start for Halo. Listen, Season 2, you've got a lot of different changes, and I think that's great, but what's evident is the fact that they're trying to depart from Season 1 for the most part and take on a brand new tone, and that's going to take time, right? Well, it would have worked if maybe there was a pretty solid foundation laid out by Season 1, but they're trying to build these brand new storylines in Season 2, and so far, so dull, so boring, and I just really don't buy into even the B plots in Season 2. The most notorious B plot is the fact that they're honing in on this conflict between John, Master Chief, and Dr. Ackerson, who's replacing Dr. Halsey as director of the Spartan program. Of course, Dr. Ackerson is that stereotypical kind of grimy leader who is trying to operate outside of the rules to get his way, and John is trying his hardest to protect him and his Silver Team. Now, there are so many moments where they have conversations, and I can't tell you I remember one standout moment. Instead, they spend so much time between John and Dr. Ackerson trying to prop up this conflict that really has no impact or weight, to be completely honest with you, that it actually kills the momentum in every episode. Well, the first 2 episodes so far. And I'm not a fan of that. It's where the writing starts to show the cracks. And to me, the writing is still pretty poor. I especially felt that during the dialogue that maybe Silver Team, for example, has with Cobalt Team, another Spartan group. There's some lines that they feed the actress who plays Riz that I thought was really rough to sit down and go through. It didn't feel natural. It felt like they kind of served up a script and said, you know, we'll take the first draft, whatever. Let's just not test this against anything. And if they did, oh boy, that's not great, because I don't feel like the writing is getting better. The beginning of Season 2 is really strong. And after that, things start to taper off and the momentum starts to die. And then eventually I get to the end of episodes and I'm like, that's it? And don't get me started on some cringe dialogue where we hear a character say to Master Chief, "What's your KDR? Kill death ratio?" And yes, he explains kill death ratio. I'm just like, why? What are we doing here? Okay. It feels like a show that is written for non-video game fans to the worst degree. You know, I'm okay with having to explain things that video game fans would know, right? And lovers of the franchise would know. But to do this and say, "What's your KDR?" Like, who's writing this? And even though I'm 2 episodes in, for the most part, it feels like they're starting to depart from John and McKee's relationship that we saw in season 1. McKee is the leader of this covenant, right? So she's supposed to be the person that bridges the human gap between them and the covenant so the covenant can get the upper hand. But I honestly just don't really think the show knows what they're going to do with that. They're going to have to retcon that, I hope, because that was an awful moment in season 1. And Master Chief with McKee was, and you guys know what happens. Not great. And what I find odd is that I can't tell you there's a single standout in the acting department so far. I do think that the character of Quan is starting to at least have a cool side mission, side story. We're seeing at least a bit more of a grittier approach with Quan, but I do like the fact that Bokeem Woodbine is still around. He's such a great actor, and honestly, season 1 sort of starts to waste his talents. At least in season 2, so far, they do have something happen to him in episode 1 that I can see playing well, and honestly, I can see kind of tying back to Quan in some weird way also. So yeah, again, the side characters still don't feel like a strong point so far in season 2, and the emphasis really isn't on them. But I do kind of wish that maybe we got more Dr. Halsey in season 2 so far. There's a sort of mystery around her character, and I can't really say anything without spoiling it, but let me just say this. She's on the other side of the law and definitely not in everyone's good graces. So while I can see them building towards something, to me it feels too slow to the punch. And I don't necessarily feel the writing is very interesting for a lot of these story threads. And I'm beginning to wonder, is this show just not destined for live action? It's possible that this is not working as a serialized drama, and if season 2 genuinely falls just as flat as season 1, because so far through 2 episodes, I'll be honest, it's starting to trend that way, I don't necessarily know if Paramount can go through with a season 3. I mean, Halo is ripe for some amazing storytelling. The lore is incredible. The books are good. The games are excellent. I just feel like they're not getting the right formula down for the show so far. So if you didn't enjoy season 1, guys, I can't tell you there's anything here in these first 2 episodes to convince you that they're turning the tides with Halo. And honestly, that was one of my biggest fears. I was hoping to come on here and tell you guys, oh my gosh, the first 2 episodes are promising. I get why they're dropping, I should say, the first 2 episodes during week 1 of season 2. I just can't tell you that they're going towards anything very interesting. Instead, I will say that it felt kind of forgettable. You know, I finished watching episodes 1 and 2 and I thought, all right, it impacts me virtually 0. And that's not great because, again, I was hoping they would get to a certain emotional point to where I'm actually excited for the next week of Halo. Instead, yeah, I'm just not feeling it. So there you have it, you guys. That's my real review and some first impressions on Halo Season 2. Episodes 1 and 2, again, not hitting the mark for me, but maybe I'll give the show another week. And if you want to hear my review for Episode 3, go ahead and let me know down below in the comments, and get subscribed to the channel, not just for Halo, but get subscribed for Avatar: The Last Airbender. We're reviewing and reacting to that show in 2 weeks. I'm so excited. And The Dragon Prince, plus a lot more movies and TV to come. Guys, I'm seeing Madam Web soon, One Love. A lot of different films are coming down the pipe because we're almost out of this dry season for movies in January and February. Alrighty, y'all. Well, again, thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you at the next screening. And please, don't tell Master Chief my review was less than favorable. You know, he's probably going to descend from the skies, and it's not going to be great.